Welcome, everyone. I am John Ryan, and it is Tuesday, April the 5th, 2022, and this is the NBA Triple Double Show, presented to you by the Predictive Playbook and sponsored by SportsMemo TV. And obviously, I'm running solo today. I actually like doing these solo shows once in a while. It gives my co-host a little bit of a break. And let's get right to it, folks. Let's get right to the first game here, and the first game is the 76ers, of course, taking on the Indiana Pacers. The 76ers have a very favorable schedule. They play the Indiana Pacers twice, this one on the road, then they have a game in between. Then they play the Pacers and the Detroit Pistons to end the season. The game following this one is their toughest matchup, obviously, against the Toronto Raptors. And all those teams, Toronto, Milwaukee, Boston, the Miami Heat. Miami Heat are actually in pretty good position. They need to win basically one more game, I believe. Two for sure over the last three, and they are the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. But Milwaukee and the 76ers are tied, with Milwaukee now having the tiebreaker after beating the Sixers in Philadelphia basically about 10 days ago. And also the Bulls. And the name escapes me right now, but the Bulls are tied with somebody as well. And I'll figure out what that is just momentarily here. And in fact, I'll do it right now. We'll bring it up on the NBA.com site for the standings, which I think their standings are outstanding. And here are the standings. So we have the Chicago Bulls are the 5 seed. They would be playing Philadelphia right now if the playoffs started today. Chicago's 45-33, and so are the Toronto Raptors, who I mentioned earlier. Philadelphia plays them next. Boston's 49-30, which is only half a game ahead of those two aforementioned teams in the 76ers and the Raptors. So this is going to be a real fun rest of the week that culminates with the final games being played on Sunday. The Sixers will be playing back-to-back Saturday and Sunday, but they are playing against the Pacers and the Detroit Pistons. And quite frankly, they don't deserve the number 2 seed in the NBA Eastern Conference if they don't beat those two teams, which have had very, very difficult seasons. And, they basically have their golf clubs out about a month ago, and it just isn't warm enough in Detroit or Indiana to get out there and play some 18 holes of golf right now. So let's get to the 76ers game here. And in this game, we see that the Sixers, like I said, are 48-30. The line for this game is the Sixers as an 11.5-point road favorite. I clearly think that this is not near enough points for this game. And I think that the Sixers have more of a likelihood of winning this game by 20, knowing what's at hand. And what is at hand is that they cannot overlook a Pacers team who has, crept up on some opponents and actually defeated them recently. So the Sixers will be focused. They are at full strength. You can see across the board here, Philadelphia has advantages in points allowed per game. They're one of the best, most efficient defenses in the game, despite the fact that they play at a slow pace. And that slow pace is mainly because of how they like to set up Joel Embiid. And when they set up Joel Embiid in the post, that takes some time to move the ball side to side, get him in the right position, the position that he wants the ball is, is the most important thing. And then he does his thing, and he's arguably the MVP of the league. He's certainly one of the leading candidates, along with a bunch of other guys as well that are all well deserving. I like the Sixers in this matchup, and in this matchup, the Sixers are 155 and 110 against the number over the last 25 NBA seasons. So this spans a lot of different coaches, a lot of different styles of play, an evolution of the game to higher scoring, but still valid. And they are in road games when facing teams that are averaging 7 or fewer steals per game on the season, spanning those 25 seasons. So that's pretty good stuff there. The Pacers are just 20-35 against the number when facing decent three-point shooting teams that are making 36% or more of their attempts in games played over the last 2 seasons. They're also a money-burning 50-68 against the number versus teams that are attempting just 24 or fewer free throws per game in games played over the last 2 seasons. And I'm going to leave it at that, folks. I think the 76ers here, from a predictive standpoint, are going to score at least 120 points tonight, and they are going to have less turnovers than the Pacers. And in that situation, they have won against the spread 82% of the games that match that historically. This comes from my predictive model. So we want to see Philly get 120, have fewer turnovers than the Pacers, and I think you will be very happy with the result. Okay, let's move on to the next game here, and that next game is, it's an advertisement. First of all, I'm proud to say that I am one of the 3 $2 men today over at SportsMemo.com. I have a very good play over there right now. With that $2 play, there's 3 handicappers, 3 best bets, only $5 to get all 3 of us, and those are big names. I'm associated and very proud, honored to be with those names of Teddy Covers and Joe D'Amico, who I've had the privilege of being on his show on Fridays at around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's recorded and then it's released early afternoon Eastern Standard Time. It's been a lot of fun with him and his darling wife, Dion, and all the other guests that appear on his show. So for me, being the host of so many shows, it's nice to be a guest on his show and just take a little breather and just, enjoy the moment, just like I am now. But I was on Wager Talk Today last Friday, right after Joe's show, and it's always fun with Teddy. And the Prez, unfortunately, was not the lead host there. It was Steve Merrill, who's been a friend of mine since 1998 in this industry. We both started over at VegasExperts.com, which is still a site that is in existence. You'll actually see my name there. And things have moved, though. My focus is on SportsMemo.com and will be for the foreseeable future. I can't see any other place to work. It's a great family. Take advantage of this opportunity to get the first and second best NBA cappers on SportsMemo the last 30 days, that being Teddy and myself. And Joe is all over the leaderboard in the other categories, so you couldn't get 3 better right now, my humble opinion, than us. So enough of the bragging and boasting, but $5 is $5. That's about half an IPA, folks. I'm just saying. It's like 2 raw oysters at your oyster bar, if you're into that kind of stuff. Okay, so let's get on from the restaurant stuff, and let's get something really interesting here. And this is the Memphis Grizzlies against the Utah Jazz. Here again, we have a marquee matchup in the Western Conference. And I would be mute if I did not say the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks are 19 games over 500 right now. They're 49-30. They're sitting in the 4 seed. They are 2 games ahead of Denver, who is in the 5 seed. They have 3 games to go. Unlikely that Denver's going to win all 3 and leapfrog over Dallas. However, Denver does play the Lakers twice among those 3 games, one of which I believe is tonight. Might have been the other night, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it out of respect to Ski Prophet. Love the guy. He's a big Laker fan. I can't feel anything what it must be like for him to be watching this team just completely implode. I don't even know if that's the right word, but I'm sure Ski does have the right word for that one. Golden State now has dropped to the 3 seed, and 2 is now the Memphis Grizzlies at 55-23. Utah Jazz are 46-32. They're the 6th seed. They would play the Warriors right now if the season ended. With a win, they're only half a game behind Denver. They could take over that 5th spot, and then they would face the Dallas Mavericks possibly in the first round. But again, Golden State is 50-29. Dallas is 49-30. 1 game is Dallas behind Golden State, who is reeling, to say the least, for the 3rd seed. And who doesn't want to get the highest seed possible? It doesn't matter. You want to get that as many home games as possible. And I don't care what the studies say that the home court advantage doesn't really matter that much anymore. That's nonsense. You want to play in front of your fans. You want your fans to get excited when you slam dunk or make a great play or a steal, fast break layup. You take a 10-point lead and the other team calls timeout. That is motivating. There's nobody that's going to talk me out of that. So in this matchup, I actually like Utah here. And this is a lean, as was the lean on the Sixers. I also like the under in the Sixers game for this show. I actually like the under better than the Sixers, and I didn't mention that, but I will here later on. Memphis and Utah here. We have Memphis has a lot of angles and trends that support them, but Utah here over the last 25 NBA seasons. Now, this applies to every single team that has a situation like Utah has for tonight. Utah is 104-70 against the number in home games when facing good rebounding teams that are out-rebounding their opponents by 3 or more per game over the last 25 years. No matter how many points are scored, folks, no matter what the pace of play is, no matter what the different styles of play are, there's 2 universal truths. The pick and roll still works very effectively, and if you're out-rebounding your opponent, you're probably winning more games than you're losing. And I don't care if they score 200 points or 250 points a game. Those 2 things are still universal truths, even back in the day of our founder, John Naismith of Kansas, who, by the way, has the only losing record of any Kansas coach in the history of their 8 coaches. Now, how good is that? Anyway, I'm getting carried away here, but I do have a lean here on Utah. In the second half of each of the last 25 seasons, that's game number 41 and on, Utah is 69-40 against the number when facing teams that are averaging 9 or fewer steals per game. Again, it doesn't matter about the evolution of the game. Steals are steals. So if the league is increasing in steals, that means the average number per team is increasing. So most of these results have occurred in the last 15 seasons versus 25 seasons, but still, it holds true. It has a great p-value, which is a statistical correlating formula. It says that these 2 things work together, and ATS wins are dependent on playing these teams that don't have that aggression to get more than 9 steals per game. So let me tell you, that's a very good angle to back Utah with. Let's move on to the third and final game here. And that game is going to be the Lakers. There they are, the Lake Show. Well, I wish I could have Ski Profit on the show just for this segment, because he really does, and I'm not making fun or anything of the kind. I'm doing the opposite. He is very good in the NBA over at WagerTalk.com. I have the utmost respect for him. Big shout out to him. If you got his service, I'm sure you've been more than happy. They are taking on, however, the Phoenix Suns, who are 62 wins, 16 losses. And the Lakers, you can read it for yourself. It's just unimaginable that at the beginning of the year, if someone would have told you that the Lakers are going to be more than 10 games under 500, or even a losing record at this point of the season, you would have thought they were, completely off the reservation and needed some serious therapy. So here we are, though. The reality is they're 16 games under 500. More than likely, they may not make the playoffs because they have a difficult schedule down the stretch, playing playoff inbound teams that are more than likely in the playoffs no matter what. And the way they're playing right now, they just seem to be just completely dysfunctional. They can score a lot of points, but on defense, it is a horror show. So it's hashtag Lake Show. Maybe it should be hashtag Horror Show Defense. I have no idea. I'm terrible with hashtags. But in this matchup, clearly the Suns, no matter who they are playing, I think will take care of business with this. For sure, with the Lakers and the Phoenix Suns. That goes tonight at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I just thought I'd throw that in there. Then we have the Memphis Grizzlies and the Utah Jazz, which I had just talked about earlier. And this is a marquee matchup, and we're going to finish this one here with these stats here that show the record. The Jazz are 31-44 for the season against the spread, which means the market may have overvalued them more times than not. However, I think in this matchup, going up against a team like Memphis, who are missing some key players and really are solidified in that 2 seed, would rather get healthy and rested than try to win a game in Utah. So Utah is favored by 5.5. The total's 228. And the betting angle today is as follows. You're going to, very simple one here, guys. You're going to bet on favorites after game number 65, and that's important because that's the last 17 games of the regular season. And you're going to be playing on, like I said, favorites, and they have lost to the spread by 40 or more points over the last 7 games. So you add up how much they lost to the spread. If a team's favored by 6 and they, let's say they win by 3, that means they failed to cover by 3 points. So that's -3. You add up the last 7, that equals -40 or more points. Those teams have gone 28, 11, and 2 against the number for 72% winning bets over the last 5 seasons. You're going to bet on the Utah Jazz minus the points tonight. And that is the betting angle of the day for the triple-double show powered by SportsMemo TV. So my best bet for the show is going to be the Utah Jazz based on this betting angle, which I like quite a bit. 28 and 11 and 2, last 5 seasons, 72% winners. Guys and gals, it's hard to argue with that. It's very simple to understand. Utah needs this game more than Memphis. Like I said, they're solidified in number 2 hole. They're not going to give that up. They're also not going to catch the Suns, and nobody is going to catch the Suns. They have accumulated 62 wins, and they've gone through their injuries too. You know, how many times did they not play with their superstars, yet they found a way to win? So I think going into the playoffs, it's going to be really hard to see any other team than the Phoenix Suns hoisting that trophy at the end of the playoff season. So that'll conclude today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. All 16, coming up on 17 minutes of it. There'll be video clips later on thanks to the great staff at Wager Talk Media. And we'll be back again on Wednesday with Ronald Cabang and myself. And if not, and if he's tied up traveling, I will take over and gladly do this show because I love sharing this information with all of you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you already haven't and ring the bell. And always remember 2 things till we get together tomorrow. Bet with your head, not over it. And may all the wins be yours.